guys, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. My name is Monica and today I'm doing a palette resurrection with quite possibly one of the most infamous palettes of all time, the Modern Renaissance palette by ABH. Now I actually have quite a connection with this palette because it was one of the first higher end palettes that I was ever able to purchase. I think it was like the holiday season that this first came out, because I bought this right after Christmas and my birthday are the same week, so I tend to get a lot of like gift cards and stuff just the last week of the year. And it was at this point where everyone realized that I really liked makeup and I was really into it, so I got like 4 Sephora gift cards like within the span of a week. So I put them all together and put together this huge like Sephora haul, and I was so excited. And at that point I really didn't know much about products. I wasn't watching a lot of product reviews on YouTube. I was watching more tutorials, and I really wanted higher end eyeshadow palettes because up until then I only had 2 of the small tin Too Faced palettes. I really hadn't had any like palette of this size, so I was really excited to pick one up. This was my very first ABH palette. And I remember I was on the website and I was looking at like the nude Sephora, and I saw this palette, and at first it kind of scared me because I had never until that point touched red or pink eyeshadows, because I read this article once, which, I mean, it was like probably like a one-off article in a magazine, but I remember it saying don't wear red eyeshadow because it'll make you look more tired. And as someone who has really bad bags under my eyes, as someone who is kind of perpetually always tired but didn't want to look it, I was like, oh god, no, I'll never touch red eyeshadow. And I never did until I got this palette. So what really drew me into this palette on the website were the shade names and how varied the palette was. I remember really thinking Tempera, Red Ochre, Venetian Red, and Antique Bronze. Those are the ones where I looked at those and I was like, those sound beautiful and they look stunning. And I didn't actually watch any review videos on this palette before I bought it. It was kind of just a spur of the moment, like, oh, that looks pretty, I've got gift cards, I'm gonna grab it. And after I ordered it and got it in the mail, I really had no idea how to use anything other than Warm Taupe and Cypress Umber. I think I stuck to those 2 shades for like weeks. And then all of the videos started coming out, because this is right when this palette first released, so everyone and their mother did a palette review, did looks, did tutorials. So that was really my first deep dive into tutorials specific for a palette, as opposed to just like full face, full coverage tutorials or foundation tutorials. It was more of like the first specific tutorial I got into. So this palette does have a special place in my heart. It is still available both from ABH and at Sephora. It is $42. But honestly, I think it is 100% worth the hype that it has gotten over the past couple of years, because it's beautiful. You get a beautiful array of colors in here. You've got some reds, some pinks, an orange, a light orange, some neutrals. You can really go from a really neutral, work appropriate look to the most glam editorial look in one palette. The shadows are very, very soft, so I never travel with ABH palettes because I know like it's gonna break. They're very, very soft. They are very pigmented. When I first got this palette, I was digging in like it was a drugstore palette. Don't do that. Don't do that. You only really need to tap, unless you're putting a shade all over your lid. Like I use Tempera to set my eyeshadow primer. I'll kind of dig in and actually put it all over because I really want that set. But for the most part, I've been using this palette fairly consistently for about 2 years, and I've yet to hit pan on anything, even though they're so soft, just because you really only need to tap your brush in. I know recently I haven't been reaching for my older palettes because a lot of new palettes have been coming out. I've been really excited about those, but I felt I really needed to go back, start looking at my older palettes. I actually just did a video with my very first eyeshadow palette, that Too Faced Boudoir Eyes. I'll go ahead and throw that link to that video up in the cards above. But along those lines, I've just been doing like flashbacks, thinking about my first hauls, my first videos, my first looks, and I've been really inspired to do a palette resurrection with this palette. So because this palette is so versatile, I actually did 3 looks with this palette. This is look number 3 right here. And I'm just really excited to share my passion for this palette with you guys. So before we jump into the looks, don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you like it. And if you want to see any more, don't forget to subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you're notified whenever I post a new video. So let's go ahead and jump into look number 1. So those are the 3 looks with the Modern Renaissance palette. I hope you guys really like this, and I hope this really inspires you to pick up the Modern Renaissance if you have it. If you don't, Wet n Wild has an amazing dupe for, I think it's $10 for this palette. It's called like Rosé in the Air. I'll throw a picture up here just so you guys can take a look at it. You could also use this video as inspiration for that palette. I'm sure there are also plenty of other palettes that have this similar color scheme, so I hope this inspires you to pick it back up if you have them and to start experimenting with them, because I think look number 2 was a look I had never done before, and it wasn't until I sat down, really looked at the palette, and we're just thinking about different ways to put the colors together that I was really able to put that together, and I really liked how they all turned out. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you in my next video. Bye!